So Elon Musk is just going straight over the top, bayonets fixed, straight at the heart of the enemy. And I'm loving it. I'm loving every second of it. Like every day, he'll essentially Sargon post on Twitter. And I'm just like, okay, Elon, I say this. These are the radical, crazy things that I say. And he's just like, yeah, so 120 million people basically need to know that Sargon was right. And it's like, okay, great.
I have admitted to have had my reservations about Elon in the past.
Yeah,
especially because, Chinese business deals,
yeah.
being a fairly absent father, etc. It's never been sure whether he's on our side or not. However, in recent weeks, he's definitely made the right noises, so it is encouraging.
Today, I think he has categorically shown that he is on our side.
Okay.
Right, we'll get into it. But before we do, right, go check out our book club of The Populist Delusion by a noted scholar, Nima Parvini, talking about essentially Italian elite theory and how an organized minority is a very powerful thing, and you can't just expect the general wave of populism to dislodge them. I've come to the conclusion that it requires a kind of great man to come in and clear them out, and our great man is currently crushing it. So let's go back a bit and begin with the day in the life of the Twitter woman, who's just at Twitter having her good time, and you can see just how luxurious things were before Elon's regime. But then, of course, he fired them all. And there were people warning. There were people like me saying, Elon, don't fire all the lazy people at once. You'll be sued for misogyny, Elon.
You could hear the wailing and gnashing of teeth from the darkness great beyond.
Because that's what's happening. He's being sued for misogyny, basically. If you go to the next one, John, you can see that they're suing Twitter, claiming women have been laid off more than men. But Elon said, reply to this email saying, I want to work really hard at Twitter. And a chunk of them, a disproportionate chunk of people who didn't, were women.
He fired all the useless jobs, and they just so happened to have women most affected.
Weirdly, there are much fewer TikTok day in the life of Twitter employee videos. Because they're actually doing something now. I mean, it's crazy because it's not like Twitter isn't $20 billion in debt.
Yeah.
So these people are acting like they're just, this is me forever now. It's like, no, this is obviously not you forever.
Well,
but anyway.
I was going to say, briefly, if you've had a mass influx of half the population within about half a century, and you've had to create lots of different roles in the corporate environment, the market rises to meet demands, then of course, after a certain amount of time, there'll be roles which become superfluous to the actual functioning of company, and it just so unfortunately happens that lots of women seem to have occupied those roles. So
trust and safety team meetings turned out not to be essential to the running of Twitter. Because, I mean, I don't know whether anyone's noticed, but it seems to be working just fine after firing like 2/3 of the employees.
At least they can always learn to code.
I don't know if they can. Anyway, speaking of misogyny, though, Elon's being sued for firing all the women. The women.
Right.
Anyway, moving on. Elon has done other good things, such as removing all the child porn from the platform.
Good.
Which now this actually came as a total surprise to me. I had no idea that there was like anything like this on the platform, or there were like hashtags for it or anything like that.
There was hashtag maps when they came over from Tumblr, when Tumblr banned it, because I remember because Jeremy Hambley, Quartering, did a mass flagging event when they all came over. I think it was like 2018 or something.
Yeah.
I tried banning some accounts myself. And you're just playing whack-a-mole because they pop back up with anime avatars all the time. So I know from some of Eliza Blue's stuff that they had this, they used hashtags and they used different accounts and sock puppets to try and spread materials and communicate. I don't know the level, but yeah, this stuff was pretty widely known as just a problem Twitter wouldn't tackle.
Right.
And he seems to have done it in one fell swoop, which means that it was easier to get rid of than we thought.
Yeah, and it's weird how it didn't happen under Vijaya Gad or Yoel Roth.
No.
Right? That's really weird. Because like, if you go to the next one, you can see that Senovich is just like, look, there are in fact examples of Twitter refusing to remove child porn because apparently it didn't violate the terms and conditions of the service. It's like, that's really weird.
I believe there was a man who said, here was a video of me at 14.
That's correct. That's what this is.
Right. When I've been blackmailed into it.
Yeah.
Here is my age verification of me now. Here is this being me.
Yeah.
And repeatedly, he brought it to Twitter's attention. They refused to take it down. He then brought it to federal law enforcement, and then they decided to take action.
Yes. Isn't that wild? How that wasn't against the terms of service. And so, I mean, Elon just replies to this going, "It is a crime. They refuse to take action on child exploitation for years." I mean, literally, it is a crime.
Yes.
But then Jack Dorsey's like, "Well, this is false." It's like, okay, now you're going to get lit up here, Jack, because Elon replies with, "No, it's not." When Ella Irwin, who now runs Trust and Safety, joined Twitter earlier this year, almost no one was working on child safety. But a lot of people were working on censoring what you were saying politically, right? She raised this with Ned and Parag, but they rejected her staffing request. They can afford women who are going into the sort of like meditation booths and getting wine on tap, but they can't afford the staff to worry about, illegal materials about child exploitation, right? And so he's like, "I made it a top priority immediately." It's like, okay, great. Jack's like, "Well, I don't know what happened in the past year, but to say we didn't take action for years isn't true, blah, blah, blah." It's like, yeah, okay. But it should have been done on day one, right? It should have been just something that was an ongoing, consistent policy that Twitter should have had since day one. Anyway, so how did Yoel Roth end up in charge of Trust and Safety? That's a great question. Like, a lot of people started looking through his Twitter history. You can see from this in 2010. It's not so much the accusations of child abuse that'll do me in. It's the site's god-awful Microsoft Publisher 97 layout. But I don't know who Brit down there is, but she's like, "Hi from the future." It turns out it was the child abuse accusations. But
I almost hate laughing at it, though, because it's so disgustingly perverse.
But, like, Elon seems to be taking this quite seriously, and as a father, that's good. He, for some reason, went through Yoel Roth's PhD thesis, which turned out that he was in favor of underage, people under 16, accessing Grindr.
Yeah, is the tweet above connected to this? Because I know Eliza Blue drew his attention. Yeah, Yoel Roth tweeted out on November 20th, 2010, "Can high school students ever meaningfully consent to sex with their teachers?" And Elon replied, "Well, this explains a lot."
Yeah. And so this is summarized by Liz here. "How did a creep who wrote a PhD thesis about Grindr, says he hates kids, sympathized with teachers having sex with students, wanted to give kids access to porn, called Trump GOP literal Nazis, included with the FBI, banned only conservatives, becomes Twitter's chief censor, Elon Musk?" And Elon just replies to this saying, "Good question." Because it is a good question.
I hate to be conspiratorial, but could it possibly be that the intelligence agencies quite like people who have a lot of compromising material on them to be placed in positions of power because they know they will be the most compliant for fear of things leaking out?
I couldn't even speculate.
No.
Couldn't even speculate. Anyway, so moving on, let's have a look at the update on the Twitter files. So there have been people like, yes, this has been good, this has been bad. And it's fine. It's not, unfortunately, the set of bombshells we're looking for yet. But apparently there is more to come because, of course, Elon's like, "Look, I'm just going to make everything public." So just to summarize, for if you haven't been paying attention to this story, part one is where M. Taibbi, I can't remember the guy's name. Matt Taibbi, that's it. Showed how the Twitter executive just conspired to suppress the Hunter Biden laptop story, which, of course, turned out to be totally true. Part two, Barry Weiss, showed how senior Twitter executives created secret blacklists to de-amplify favored Twitter users, not just specific tweets, disfavored, Twitter users. Obviously, we call this shadow banning, so that was true. And in part three, Matt Taibbi again showed how Twitter executives censored tweets by Trump in the run-up to the November 2020 election while regularly engaging with US representatives of law enforcement agencies such as the FBI. So what did we learn so far from the three drops? Well, that Twitter executives are evil, but this probably isn't illegal. And what we see in the fourth drop of Twitter files is that they were thrilled to be able to ban Trump. They were desperate to do it. And again, they coordinated and conspired with the FBI in order to make this happen, despite Donald Trump repeatedly saying, "Don't go into the Capitol," and things like this, despite him actively being against and not inciting a mob to go into the Capitol. They were thrilled to finally build the case for a permanent ban, as he says there, and remove him. But again, as awful as all of this is, and as much as this shows that there is a major problem with the social fabric of the United States, mainly driven by left-wing ideologues, none of this is technically illegal as far as I can tell.
Well, there has been some stuff with Facebook that's definitely illegal because they've been the FBI was handing over Facebook without a subpoena was handing over millions of messages from private accounts to the FBI for filtering because they were flagged as conservative after January 6th. And then the Intercept piece did show that the Biden administration was directly targeting each account that they didn't like, including Anthony Fauci parody accounts, for direct takedowns, while I believe Anthony Fauci's daughter was working at Twitter as well. So that would fall under suppression of the First Amendment and could be means for adjusting Section 230 protections and things like that. The main thing is, the reason these don't feel like bombshells...
Facebook, though, isn't it?
Well, Twitter was directly involved in the Intercept piece as well.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yes. So we already... The reason these don't feel like bombshells, though, is because we kind of already have receipts for this.
Yeah.
It's just we're kind of waiting for someone to do something. This is why your great man of history thesis on Elon is right, because he is doing things.
Yeah.
We've got a Republican-controlled Congress now. The Senate is...
So we need a great Republican to come along and do something.
Yes.
Well, don't hold your breath, folks.
Yeah.
John points out that actually Jack Dorsey did lie to Congress as well, under oath, because he said they don't shadow ban, and of course we now have the evidence that they shadow ban. So I suppose there is that, but again, like you say, this all requires a Republican to actually do something. Good luck with that.
Requires testicular fortitude, which is in short supply.
Yeah, but Glenn Greenwald, I think, sums it up pretty well. Oh, sorry, I forgot this. It's nice that, I mean, one of the good things about this is it forces places like The Hill to admit, yeah, okay, well, it wasn't just conspiracy theory. Actually, the thing that everyone could see that was happening, and now we have concrete proof of it. So, that's fine. But anyway, the main point, I think, to take away from it is that, yeah, Twitter was a Democrat machine, and it was designed specifically... it was not even necessarily designed, but it was weighted specifically to favour one side over another, which could be called election interference. I think that's a completely reasonable way of framing the issue from Glenn Greenwald. As Tom Fitton here points out, they deliberately suppressed Trump and his allies, which they did. And Elon just replies to this saying, unequivocally true, the evidence is clear and voluminous. Yeah, it seems that way. But the problem, I think, that we have is that the organised minority had taken over Twitter, and Jack Dorsey was proven to not be one of the great men. This, in fact, is so evident because Trump was banned when Jack Dorsey was on holiday.
Right.
Can you even imagine taking such a momentous decision when the CEO wasn't even in the country?
It reminds me of... Have you seen the last season of Black Mirror by any chance?
I have, but I can't remember.
So there's this episode where some fella takes a hostage to get his ex-girlfriend's Facebook account reinstated so he can have the memories of her. And the obvious parody of Jack Dorsey is getting this emergency phone call from his meditation retreat where he's meant to have no technology.
Yeah, I do remember this. Yeah.
It entirely reminds me of
Yes.
Jack Dorsey's become parody unto himself out of sheer cowardice to just want to extricate himself from this dragon that he was unable to hold the reins
Because,
of.
I mean, that character was so obviously Jack Dorsey as well.
Even had the hair on the beard and looked like Rasputin.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like a weird monk who goes on retreats, which is, fine. But at the end of the day, you shouldn't be the CEO in charge of the company, if that's the case. But this is the point. Like, we found out that they banned Trump when Jack Dorsey wasn't even in the country. And it's like, look, Jack, you should have really had a firm hand over Vijaya Gad here and Yoel Roth. And just be like, look, you will take no action until I return and examine it in person because it is the president of the United States. It is a major allegation and I'm the boss. But instead, of course, it looks like Jack simply wasn't in control. And Elon has pointed this out himself, saying, look, the Trust and Safety Council were basically the rulers of Twitter, is the takeaway, basically. But anyway, so Twitter will begin unshadow banning people. Elon says Twitter is working on a software update that will show your true account status, so you'll clearly know if you've been shadow banned, the reason why, and how to appeal. I don't know why he's not just rescinding shadow banning as a concept. There may be a reason for it. It could be about suppressing illegal content or bots or something like that. So I can understand there may be a use for shadow banning.
It might be so baked into the code at this point that it's difficult to get rid of.
Absolutely, it might be so that it's intrinsic, and so this is the easiest way to fix it. Who knows, right? But I'm actually happy to give Elon the benefit of the doubt on this. But as he says, Twitter is both a social media company and a crime scene. So right, okay, so possibly I'm hedging my bets on whether actual crimes have been committed here. I think that
literally by the amount of child exploitation that was left to exist on the platform.
That is obviously true. But I mean, from the actual actions of the executives in charge of the Trust and Safety Council, whether anything can be shown to be definitively a criminal act, who knows? But I like Elon's approach to all of this. digging up Twitter's darkest secrets. Okay. I mean, this is good memetics for a start. You know, look at the rainy, dark, stormy night, and Elon just grimly with a shovel. It's good memetics, man. And so there have been a bunch of people who are like, well, look, Elon, isn't it a bit of a mistake that you're getting too political? Isn't this a problem? It's like, dude, too political. Like, have you not looked at the political environment for the last decade or so? You know, Elon is a consequence of what they have done to the environment. And Elon just replies, no, for the future, this must be done for the future of civilization, without which nothing matters. So exactly my thoughts on it. I mean, that's just perfect.
Yeah,
right?
and it seems like the fella even understands that, because he just goes, yeah, thanks for all you do.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't think that guy's a bad guy or anything. I think what it is he's nervous, right?
I don't even think I don't know who this person is.
No, I don't.
But there is also the mentality of, I wish we could just return to the 90s when we didn't have to care. The sort of Gen X mentality you spoke to in Hangouts.
I wish too, but that time is gone.
Yes.
We're in a new world now, and we have to win this new world.
Yes, and that sort of post-war consensus was taken advantage of by these academics who were festering in the institutions that then wage capture on vital institutions to democracy, politics, whatever, like Twitter.
Yeah.
Now we'd have to do a bit of counter capture.
Yeah, exactly. Now we have to fight the war. The war is upon us, you know. Again, it's very Lord of the Rings, you know, when Frodo's like, I wish it wasn't me. It's like, well, so do all people who live in such times. All we can do is deal with the time that we have. And I say that because Elon begins Lord of the Rings posting, which is pretty great, actually. There's another one I forgot to put in there, I guess. But it's he posts a link to the death of Saruman. And he just quotes it with, Saruman, your staff is broken. And it's like, well, Elon has certainly stormed Isengard by the taking of Twitter.
Is this the scouring of Silicon Valley?
Kind of, yes. He hasn't yet taken Mordor, but at least we're on the right path, right? We're fighting the war, and we understand that it's going on, and at least we're taking some of their strongholds.
Are we sure he isn't watching? This is very strange now.
No, but and again, he just keeps going. So he's like, well, Twitter was worm-tongued to the world. After, like, this is just great. Yeah, he was. Like, it was keeping, and again, just the metaphor is just so good, because not that the king can't act, but if you've got the worm tongue saying, don't, be passive, be weak, do nothing, then, well, that keeps everything in the control of people like Sauron. It gives them the advantage they need. And then the future drops are apparently going to be about Fauci. As he says, now things get spicy, as if they weren't spicy enough anyway, but let's carry on. Fauci has worm tongue memes, which I think is just, that's perfect.
His name, I believe, translates to sickle in
Really?
Italian. Yes. So the memetics of Fauci being synonymous with death go quite far.
Interesting. But yes, one more lockdown, my king. It's excellent, right? And so he then afterwards tweets out, my pronouns are prosecute/Fauci. It's like, right. I mean, don't get me wrong, I totally agree. You know, Fauci has obviously lied to Congress multiple times. He's obviously been lying about how the lab that is probably somehow related to the coronavirus pandemic was funded. And he otherwise said Twitter files on COVID are coming. It's like, right, that'll be interesting. That'll be very interesting. I'm not going to make any predictions, of course. I don't know what's going to happen. But he did invite a Stanford epidemiologist to Twitter to analyze the suppression.
Jay Bhattacharya, that's really interesting, because Jay was not only one of the co-authors of the Great Barrington Declaration, and has recently, I believe, met with either Reclaim or Reform to talk about their healthcare policy platform. But also, he was obviously one of the guys that was revealed to have been shadow banned for a very long time.
His first post got him shadow banned. He was placed on the blacklist after he argued that COVID lockdowns would harm children. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, Godspeed to Jay Bhattacharya, but like, you didn't need a doctorate to understand that, did you?
No, it is remarkably milquetoast.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious that the lockdowns harm children,
Yes.
and that was evil.
But it just shows you the level of censorship for even the most observable of takes would have you be blacklisted.
Yeah. He says, Twitter placed me on the blacklist on the first day I joined, because I think it was my pinned tweet linking to the Barrington Declaration that triggered the blacklist based on unspecified complaints Twitter received. Amazing. So you have literally a tenured professor at Stanford who is an epidemiologist, so expert in the subject, And the ghouls at Twitter, the ring wraiths at Twitter are like, no, you need to be shadow banned.
On unspecified complaints, though, I don't think they're unspecified to us.
Yeah.
I think we're going to find out via the portals that The Intercept showed and the meetings with the intelligence agencies that the orders came directly from Morgoth itself.
Yes. So people are like, oh, you're just going after Fauci because of politics, or you disagree with him, and of course you get people like Viva going, no. It's obvious that it's Fauci lying under oath and funding gain-of-function research, jeopardizing the entire planet, and possibly contributing to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people that has made Fauci something of a villain here, something of a worm tongue in this regard for whatever reason. I mean, I would personally suggest that it's Fauci's massive ego that has led him to think, oh, if I can capture the spotlight, then I become important, because who cares what Fauci thinks otherwise?
Did you just see the New York Times released an article by him saying, here is my advice to the next generation of healthcare experts? So he's already putting his puppets into place.
Yeah, no, I haven't. I just recall Fauci's picture of Fauci sitting in his office with a giant poster or painting of Fauci on the wall.
There was a candle of him being depicted as Jesus on the shelf behind
I mean,
him.
I'm just saying, I think it's the man's ego that's gotten out of control. But anyway, so a former astronaut replies to Elon Musk going, Elon, could you be more progressive, please? Elon, please don't mock and promote hate towards originally marginalized and at risk of violence of the members of the LGBT plus community. They are real people with real feelings. Furthermore, Dr. Fauci is a dedicated public servant whose sole motivation was saving lives, says one man who's firmly trapped within the narrative of the current thing. And Elon's replies to this was just brilliant. I strongly disagree, he says. Forcing your pronouns upon others when they didn't ask and implicitly ostracizing those who don't is neither good nor kind to anyone. As for Fauci, he lied to Congress and funded gain-of-function research that killed millions of people. Not awesome, in my opinion. That is just perfect. That is such a great and concise rebuttal to everything. No, the pronoun brigade are actually tyrants and they're acting in a tyrannical way. Also, Fauci seems to be an evil manipulator who is a liar.
Also, considering who this is responding to, Scott Kelly is the brother of Mark Kelly. Mark Kelly is also a former astronaut. Currently the senator for Arizona, Democrat senator, who, if you watch Razorfist's videos on the Arizona elections, they have, of course, been the most safe and secure in history, mainly starting with Mark Kelly. So Mark Kelly is a real protector of democracy.
That's very interesting, and I did not know that. But I'll finish this bit on just this one tweet that Elon put up just before we went live, actually. He tweeted out, the woke mind virus is either defeated or nothing else matters. So he has explicitly come around to my position on social justice. I mean, that is just, what more do you need?
Okay.
That's a hell of
I'll pay my $8.
Yeah, exactly. When he allows us who don't use Apple products to pay the $8, I will pay my $8. You have my allegiance, Elon. You've done very well. I'm very impressed. Lead the way.
Thanks for watching this segment from the podcast Lotus Eaters. I hope you're all having a very Merry Christmas. If you're interested in finding more premium content, you can find that on our website for a minimum of £5 per month. We've also got a new merch store that's very exciting, full of t-shirts and hoodies and mugs and all sorts that you can fit right in time for Christmas. So if you'd like to find out more updates and developments from us, you can follow us over at Getter at lotuseaters_com. Thank you very much. See you again.